tried to reconnect with my wife during a quiet camping trip but discovered her secret late one night when I saw her holding my best friend's hand and laughing softly while I hid behind the trees trying to accept what I saw. It's strange how the scent of a crackling campfire still makes my chest feel restless. You'd expect time to wear it off, but sometimes the memories cling to scents and noises that you can't erase. That night still lingers somewhere within my spine, like a thing I carry without choice. We'd been preparing the camping trip for weeks, something simple, raw, just the two of us plus one. Me, my wife, and my best friend. I was thrilled. Really. Life had been crazy and unstructured, and I thought escaping to a weekend in the woods would allow us to get our bearings again. Not me and her, exactly, but us three, like the old days. We never did it. I didn't consider the woods a betrayal. The woods were a betrayal, though. I was then holding on to this notion that love, real love, could endure anything. That the earth we had, earth that had been constructed over years, through joy and struggle, was firm. And my best friend, he'd been with me longer than anyone else, save her. We grew up together. Faced hell together. He was the one being I trusted with anything. I mean anything. The secrets I kept, the past I carried, even my wedded state. Maybe that was the mistake. Maybe I trusted too much. Too indiscriminately. The first night at camp was great, if I do say so myself. The fire burned, the beer chilled, and the laughter was real. We joked about college days, old jokes, even things we'd forgotten about each other. She laughed loudest that night, her eyes crinkling up the same way they used to when life between us wasn't fabricated. I remember thinking, maybe we're okay. Maybe this is what we needed. I hadn't realized I was already witnessing the last decent thing I'd ever see of them. I wish I could know. Maybe I would have held on to it longer. Or maybe I would have questioned other things. Looked at things differently. The shift happened gradually. It was not anything obvious such as a whisper in the dark or sidelong glances. It was small things, like how she would sit a little bit closer to him when I wasn't around, the way their in-jokes would feel too familiar, too new at the same time. I wrote it off. Told myself I was being paranoid. They'd been friends for years as well. We'd all been through so many times together, it was normal. Wasn't it? That's what I kept reminding myself. Over and over. I was denying. That's the part that hurts the worst to this day. How blind I was. How much I wanted to believe in them the best. The second night, I woke up at 2 a.m. thirsty. The tent was cramped and silent. I reached out for my water bottle and did not have it. So I got up not wanting to wake her and proceeded where the cooler was lying. That's when I saw them. I stood there. I had no idea what I was looking at. Not graphic. Nothing like that. But intimate. The way his hand against her arm. The way she nuzzled into him. The whispering. The bitten smile as if they were part of some world I no longer inhabited. My chest tightened and my mouth went dry. I felt this cold nausea well up in my stomach. Couldn't even move for a minute. Just stood there like some dumb statue as they laughed in the stars as if I didn't exist. I didn't go up to them then. Couldn't. Went back to the tent and went on my back, eyes wide open, heart pounding so hard it seemed it would burst through my ribs. She showed up a little late, like nothing was the matter. And I played along. That's the thing that I torture myself about. I pretended. I so desperately did not want it to be true that I bullied myself into pretending with her that everything was fine. The rest of the trip was a blur. I kept watching. Every move. Every glance. Every goddamn laugh. I didn't eat much. I didn't sleep. I simply observed. And the more I observed, the more I understood that this was not new. This was not some careless error or lapse of judgment. This was rooted in history. This was significant. It was occurring long before that weekend. And I had missed it. Entirely. Or perhaps I had noticed signs, but I had elected to believe. That term, trust, it is a joke now. Like a dirty trick someone pulled on me and laughed behind my back. When we loaded up and left the woods, I thought maybe I'd confront her about it when I got home. Maybe she'd confess. Maybe we'd sob and scream and yell and realize where we went wrong. But that never happened. Because 2 days later, I discovered her iPad. And that's when I really came undone. I wasn't looking for anything when I took her iPad. That's the truth. It was sitting on the kitchen counter, screen still on. Notifications popping up like little daggers I hadn't welcomed. I don't even remember what I tapped on first. Maybe a message, maybe an email, but once it opened, it all came flooding out. Months worth of chats. Maybe more. Late night, miss you, messages. Photos. Tell me how you felt, free, together. How wrong it was and how they couldn't help themselves. Plans? Real, genuine plans? To leave me. To begin life together. Like I was some temporary placeholder to be left behind later. I was just standing there holding the iPad in my hands, breathing through clenched teeth, every part of me shaking just walking on. You know how everyone talks about heartbreak like it's emotional? Like it's this deep sadness or disappointment? No. Real betrayal, it's physical. It hits your body first. My legs were numbed. My chest was like someone took a crowbar to it. I had to sit down, or I would have dropped the damn thing. I didn't cry. Not then. I just sat there, looking at the screen, at the words they wrote back and forth to each other, my wife and my best friend, like I was invisible. Like I wasn't in the same house they were going to detonate. She came in that night like it was nothing. Placed her bag on the table, smiled at me, even kissed my cheek. I said nothing. I didn't know how. My lips were moving but I wasn't making a sound. I saw her walking around the kitchen, opening the fridge to get a drink, humming a little tune. I wondered how? How can you walk around being so normal after you've gutted me like this? She looked at me with a strange expression eventually. Asked me if I was okay. I think I nodded. I don't know. It was like watching a movie of someone else's life, and I was just sitting in the wrong seat. I didn't sleep that night. I slept next to her in bed, listening to her breathe, wondering if she was dreaming of him. Wondering if all those I love yous she'd said to me in the last year had been untruths. My mind wouldn't quiet. It kept cycling round and round. Living the moments over again, trying to get to the specific moment when it all came apart. That party 6 months prior? That trip she did alone for work? The way he visited her more than usual lately? I don't know. I'll never know. The next day, I confronted her. I want to be able to say I did it calmly. Fiercely. Dignifiedly. But I didn't. I was broken. My voice trembled. My hands trembled. I held up the iPad and asked her one thing, why? That was all I could muster. One word. And she cut off. Cold. Like I had hit her with something she hadn't anticipated. For a second, I saw remorse in her eyes. Maybe guilt. But it vanished. In an instant. She sat down, hid her face, and mumbled. I didn't want it to happen this way. This way. As if a higher degree of betrayal I would have been okay with. She started to cry. Not crying, just slow, heavy tears. And then she said the words, I love him. That shattered me. I think I literally laughed. A bitter, mean laugh I didn't even realize was mine. I asked her when. She said she had no idea. She told me that it wasn't on purpose. That it just happened. They invaded too far. Thing after thing. She didn't want to hurt me. This is the line she kept saying over and over again. As if repetition would cause it to become true. I had asked her if she was leaving. She had not answered. Simply gazed at the ground as if maybe it had the future she wanted but could not put words to. I had asked her if she ever loved me. And she consented. She told me I was her best friend. Her rock. Her safe place. But the thing is, safe isn't enough when someone wants drama. I realized in that moment that love is not a shield. It will not protect you from being chosen second. Or not all. I told her to leave. I didn't scream. I didn't yell. I just told her to leave. She didn't fight it. Didn't beg. Just packed a bag, quietly, and left. That was the moment it all became real. The silence that followed. It was louder than anything I'd ever heard. When she left, the house was quiet, as if each groan of the floorboards took a little more time than it should. The kitchen retained the smell of her perfume. Her mug in the sink. A sweater tossed over the sofa. She was not quiet, she was loud. ear-shattering. I wandered room to room, running my hand over things she had left behind, hoping to still feel her within the material, within the dust. It was pathetic, actually. I just kept hoping she'd call, come to her senses and come back. I even left the porch light on a few nights, like some terrible movie tragic love story. But nothing came. Not even a letter. Just nothing. And then, a week later, he texted me. Him. My best friend. I stared at the message for almost 10 minutes before I opened it. The words were short. Flat. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I'm sorry. That is all he said. No reason. No apology that mattered. Just that. I didn't respond. What am I to say? There are no words that take up that space. No sentence that makes betrayal okay. The man who I had considered to be my brother, who was present at my wedding, who cried along with me when my mother passed away, that man was sleeping with my wife. It's as if the world rewrote my history overnight. Suddenly, every memory that I had shared with them was called into question. And I was left living in the wreckage alone. I started going through the old photographs, the old books, looking for the cracks. It was an obsession, in all honesty. Reliving every second like a detective at my own crime scene. I found things, small things that I had written off. Like how they always managed to sit next to each other. How their jokes used to go over my head from time to time. The way she used to laugh just a little too hard at something he said while I was ailing. It was all there. Under my nose. I just didn't want to see it. Because seeing it would mean that I'd lost everything long before that camping trip. Betrayal will make you angry, people say, and it will. But then it makes you wonder about everything, your memory, your worth, your ability to believe in your own judgment. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Friends would call, ask me how I was doing, and I'd lie through my teeth. Yeah, just busy, I'd say. Or, taking some time off. I didn't want to tell them. Didn't want their pity. I just wanted to become invisible. For a while I did. I stopped leaving the house. Took a day off work. Let dishes pile up. Laundry too. I'd just stay in bed until the sun moved from one window to the other. Thought about texting her. Begging for closure. But didn't. Because I knew whatever she responded with would not heal me. Nothing she needed to say could take back what she'd done. And the more I dwelled on that truth, the more I realized I had to rebuild without both of them. I incinerated the photos. All of them. Printed snapshots from vacations, birthday celebrations, anniversaries. I stood in the yard with a metal trash can and watched our history roll into dust. It wasn't a grandstand move. It just felt like it needed to be done. Such as I literally had to release it in order to be able to move on. I only retained one photograph though. A small one. Me. By myself. From a trip that I took before I met her. I do not know why I retained it. Maybe because it reminded me that there was part of me that still existed prior to all of this. Someone that could smile for real. A person who did not carry this kind of pain. About a week later, I started therapy. I was a skeptic at first. Didn't think it would do anything to speak with a stranger. But I was wrong. It helped more than I can ever say. Just to be able to say the words out loud, in a place where nobody judged me, where I did not have to be courageous, it cracked something open. And in that breaking, I had space to breathe again. I started to write. Not elegant, just thoughts, feelings, fragments of sentences that barely made sense. But it gave the pain something to get out of. Slowly, I put myself back together. Not at once, not tidily. But step by step. Treading the block. Scrubbing the kitchen. Cooking for myself again. Every small movement was like defiance. Like determination that I could do it without the people who broke me. Healing doesn't come in the way people wish it would. It's not the straight climb where each day is easier than the last. It's rough. Uncontrollable. There were the days when I could barely catch my breath again at last, and the nights when I was awake, lying there, looking at the ceiling thinking about how I'd ended up there, alone, stripped of the two I trusted most. But somehow through that ruin, I began to feel lighter. Not because the ache went away, but because I quit holding on to the expectation they'd fix it. I quit requiring answers. I let go of the life that I was so desperate to save. And in letting go of that, I started finding myself again. I went for solo walks in the woods, something I hadn't done in a long time. The woods used to feel tainted, like they belonged to that weekend, to the weekend everything broke apart. But now, I challenged myself to go back. Not to follow on after memories or to chastise myself, but to reclaim it. The silence out there once hurt. Now it was peace. I remember one morning, standing at a lake's edge, the sun just up, and I just breathed. Deeply. Totally. Like my lungs had remembered how to fill without shame. And I knew I hadn't missed them in hours. That was when I knew I was getting better, not restored, not whole, but improved. Stronger. I started to say yes once more. Dinner plans? Weekend drives. New friends. Not instead of what I'd lost, but to recall that life continued, with or without them. And I quit scrolling through her Facebook. Quit wondering if they were together. Whether they were happy or if it had all fallen apart. I didn't care any longer. Their story was not mine. No longer. The most difficult, though, was to forgive myself. Not them. Me. For not seeing. For believing too much. For loving too much that I had missed the signs. I had to let go of myself from the guilt that their decisions were somehow my fault. Because that's what betrayal does. It gets you questioning your worth, your judgment, your value as a partner, as a friend. I reminded myself that loving fully is not a weakness. That offering someone your trust isn't naivety. It's courage. And if they've mishandled it, that says more about them than it will ever say about me. Months passed by. Then a year. And then, one afternoon, unexpectedly, I got a message from her. Just a few sentences. She wished me well. That she thinks about me a lot. That she apologized for the way it all went down. I sat staring at it for what felt like an eternity. My heart did not beat rapidly. My hands did not shake. I just felt nothing. Not hate. Not love. Just this quiet acknowledgement that there are people who are meant to teach you something, but not to stay in your life. I didn't speak up. I didn't need to. I had already said what I had to say, by healing, by being alive. And that silence? That was my closure. Looking back on it now, I don't wish it hadn't happened. I would not wish to relive it, but I see what I have become as a result of it. I am stronger. More stable. I understand who I am now in a way I did not before. I do not allow the way others treat me decide my identity anymore. My identity is decided by the way I rise after being shattered. By the way I love again, knowingly, slowly, without losing myself in the process. And of course, I do still think about it from time to time. Some songs, some places, those bring pieces of it back to life. But it doesn't haunt me anymore. It makes me think about who I used to be, and how far I've come. If you're reading this, and you've been through something like it, or if you've been broken, devastated by the people you loved the most, I want you to know that you aren't weak for hurting. You're not dumb for thinking you are. You're human. And the pain isn't yours. What you do then, that's what matters. The small choices. The difficult rebuilding. The way you learn to smile again, even though it feels awkward at first. That's strength. That's living. And if I can get through this on my feet, then so can you.